Mahdi, who used to think they were a bit spoiled and blamed his sister for it, had now changed his mind, and today, more than ever, he truly empathized with them. Inside the tunnels, just like the rest of the road, there is no light, and the only source of lights comes from the headlights of the cars. Since the war began, the government has lost the ability to supply electricity to its main roads, and the only way to escape the darkness is to travel during the day, something that, under the current circumstances, doesn't seem possible for Mahdi. It's best for him to get his family to a safe place as soon as possible. At one point on the road, the car in front suddenly slows down, and Mahdi, shocked by this, quickly turns on his hazard lights so that the cars behind him will also slow down before reaching him. A little further ahead, all the cars come to a stop, and it seems that a patrol has set up on the road to check the vehicles. The whole family, upon finding out about this, gets into a frenzy and tries to hide the twins somewhere in the car. But it seems their efforts are in vain. Morteza, who is tired of this stressful situation, notices that as they get closer to the patrol, everyone seems more anxious than before. He asks Mustafa to try to hide himself on the floor of the car under his and his mother's feet, and then they pile some clothes and belongings on top of him. So that, if there isn't a strict inspection, at least Mustafa will make it out alive and be able to take care of their mother. Mustafa quickly does what Morteza suggested, and the others place some of their clothes and belongings on top of him, trying to make the car look normal. After that, at Mahdi's strong insistence, everyone regains their composure and tries to relax their faces so that no one will suspect them. Mina, who had already felt deep pain and sorrow, such profound anguish, when her husband was taken to the war camps, was trying not to think about losing her twins or her brother. It seemed that they had no other choice left, and there was not much distance remaining until they reached the patrol car. A group of soldiers, who seem to have come from the war zones, have blocked the road and are inspecting all the cars. It's their car's turn. Mehdi gets out of the car and a soldier uses a flashlight to search inside the car through the windows, then goes to check the trunk. When the trunk is closed, Mina, who now seems relieved that Mustafa has remained hidden, takes a deep breath. But suddenly, the soldier gets into the car and sits in the driver's seat, glancing around the interior and carefully sweeping his flashlight inside the car. Then he asks Morteza to get out of the car and loudly announces to his commander that there is no one else in the car. The commander is still busy checking the documents of the people who were taken out of the previous car. He directs them toward one of the large buses lined up along the roadside and heads toward Mahdi and the soldier.
What are you doing here?
I have to take an urgent trip.
Is it really urgent for you to go up north right now?
I have to take my family to a safe place.
The commander takes a deep breath and tries to keep his composure.
So what's his deal then?
Don't you know the war is almost over?
Well, that's not the case right now. As long as there's a war, you have to fight for your country. We're not your dad's servants. One of you has to go. It's your choice. Just hurry up. There are a lot of cars waiting. Soldier.
Yes, sir.
Take this jeep and stand at the end of the tunnel. Make sure no one gets any ideas about escaping.
Yes, sir.
A soldier gets into a military jeep, drives past parked vehicles and positions on the other side of the tunnel. Mehdi and Morteza stare at each other in silence for a few moments, each trying to figure out how to make the other understand that he should stay and not go to war. But in the end, Morteza wins this silent contest. because a few minutes earlier, Mehdi had come to the conclusion that his nephews were already the great sacrifices of life and shouldn't have to endure any more hardship.
I'm going to say goodbye.
Morteza, who looks completely ashamed and embarrassed, doesn't even try to stop Mahdi from what he's about to do, because his entire life plan depends on surviving this deadly situation. Mehdi heads toward his family to say goodbye to them. It's an extremely sad and difficult moment. The whole family is in tears, and more than anyone, Raha, Mehdi's wife, is crying and holding him very tightly in her arms. It's as if this is the last time she'll ever hug him. The commander, frustrated by how long this is taking, shouts loudly to get the vehicle moving on the road as quickly as possible. Mehdi, afraid of the commander's anger and being punished right at the start, feels anxious. He forces himself out of Raha's embrace and stands by the roadside, waiting for the commander to tell him which bus he should get on. Morteza gets behind the wheel, and as he drives past Mahdi, their eyes meet and he nods his head in farewell before quickly leaving the area. Mostafa, after they've gotten far enough from the patrol, stands up. His face clearly shows he's been crying, and it's obvious he knows everything that has happened. He sits in the back seat, hugs her mother tightly, and sobs uncontrollably in her arms. Until they arrive at the villa, they don't have a moment of peace and still look like a family in mourning. And Morteza, who blames himself for his uncle going to war, after bringing the family to the villa, unloading their belongings, and settling them in the house, separates from them and walks alone in the humid northern air. From the silence and calm inside the town, he can tell that the war hasn't reached here yet. But the absence of the town's guards at their posts makes him a little uneasy. They had probably been sent to the battlefields as well. Mina, who is arranging things in the rooms and closets, is lost in her thoughts. The thought of driving again after such a long time. The thought she has to watch over the twins so they avoid the authorities, along with his worry about caring for Raha, occupies her mind. Of course, her main worry is whether she'll ever see her husband and brother safe and sound again. If the war ever reached a point where there were too few people left to fight, they would definitely come looking for Morteza and Mostafa even in the north, and on top of losing Mahdi and Hamid, she would have to bear the pain of losing them too. She is more than exhausted by the war. When she first opened her eyes to the world, her father wasn't by her side because of the war. In her youth, she struggled with the consequences of war and the resulting inflation, and now she is caught up in yet another war. She wishes she could erase this word from her mind. But even though she has never seen a battlefield, if she hasn't been hurt by it more than the men in her family, she certainly hasn't been hurt any less. She spends the whole night with these thoughts, busy preparing everything needed to settle into the villa, and starts the next morning with a letter from Morteza. Morteza has left and abandoned her, and the only trace he has left behind is a letter placed on the dressing table in her room. Mina, who has always been a light sleeper, blames herself for oversleeping. After reading the letter, without getting up or making a sound, she throws the letter into a corner of the room, lies down on her bed, and silently cries. After a few minutes, Mina gets up and wipes away her tears. She walks over to the old television in the villa and turns it on. Upon hearing the news, she realizes that a temporary ceasefire will be in place for a few days due to negotiations between the leaders of some countries in Belgrade, and then a decision will be made about whether the war will continue or come to an end. The world is about to experience a few days of peace, and Morteza, who had no idea how lucky he was when he left, now has a chance to survive in the middle of the sea thanks to this ceasefire.